This is Sean Granham, aka Sean Gran, and today I'm talking to one of the most talented and humblest producers that I've ever had the pleasure of meeting in person. Submerse, how you doing?
Good man, how are you?
Yeah, I'm doing good, man. My first question is, what music were you brought up on?
Hip hop, 90s hip hop predominantly. I had an uncle who was like a super hip hop head who used to stay awake at night listening to the radio with his tape recorder and just hitting record and play and making mixtapes. And he used to give me mixtapes when I was about 11 years old. And he also took me with my dad to see the Beastie Boys when I was maybe 11, 12 years old. So I was pretty much brought up on that kind of stuff.
What were the defining tracks, would you say?
36 Chambers Wu-Tang was probably the biggest thing, I think. I remember carving Wu-Tang logos into my pencil case in year 7.
Yeah. Cool. What music did you first put out? Because I thought it was Otaku of the Dead and Outbreak back in 2011, but it's not.
No, like 2008, 2009 was the first couple of digital releases I did, which were kind of like the early, like, garagey kind of stuff.
Would that be similar to Otaku of the Dead?
No, it's a lot like lighter, I guess. It would have been more like that typical kind of like poppy, UK garagey kind of Sunship style stuff.
Okay, cool. Because I was going to say that the music that you put out, well, as far as like Otaku of the Dead and Outbreak, that release is quite different to the Submerse that fans will know today.
Yeah, it's really different.
Yeah, so how did you come to embrace the relaxed and restful style that you currently create?
I mean, when I kind of started making music in the first place, it was really kind of relaxed when I was learning. Like, I only really wanted to make ambient stuff when I first started making music, and then I got influenced by that 2007 like kind of dubstep scene, like Scuba and Digital Mystics and that kind of stuff. So the first stuff I started doing was kind of dubsteppy influenced, two-step, really like chilled stuff. After a few years, I started to get really into going to clubs, and I became pretty good friends with Kanji Kinetic in Bristol, and I kind of discovered that kind of harder edge of like 4/4. And I think just like with the Duke stuff now, it was just kind of an experiment at the time. I was like, I'm gonna try and make some of this and see what it sounds like. And I got some stuff to play in a club that's kind of good for like 3 a.m. and time to go hard. So I guess that was just kind of like a small experimental kind of phase.
Yeah, but you really had a knack for it, because I mean, you were able to do so much with that sound as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think trying so many different things has been able to help me become an overall rounded producer in general, kind of trying to figure out understanding how to make totally different sounds that work with totally different genres. So going from learning how to make deep pads and kind of 4x4 bass lines to make some kind of like growling synths and stuff, it all kind of like helped me along this kind of journey. I think after a while, after I'd started doing some of that heavy stuff, I kind of started to resort back to my kind of like locked in kind of self and not going out to like clubs so much and just making like headphone music again, which was pretty much what I've always been into.
Yeah. Your sound back then was classified both as future garage and J garage. Can you tell me what elements defined those genres?
I have no idea. Like, for me, I guess I was just always making just garage influenced music. I guess the whole being tagged as like future thing was just a way to call the newer kind of garage stuff, or the newer producers that maybe weren't around during that typical UK garage time. I don't know, I've never been so much into like kind of labeling like stuff I've done, because obviously I stuck with the same name even while making totally different stuff, which now maybe seems like a bad idea. Maybe I should have switched it up, but I kind of guess as long as I was doing it, and as long as some tracks had that like emotive feel that I always went for, like I thought, screw it, I'll just keep the same name. But I don't know how to like define it separately. I guess to me it was all a form of garage.
Yeah, so you didn't give it the name J Garage yourself. That was
No, I actually did once, but I didn't mean it so serious.
okay. I thought you did it,
I did. I
and
definitely.
people clearly ran with it.
Yeah, people ran with it. And then
Yeah.
after like a week, I was like, okay, this joke's not so funny anymore. And then it just kind of stuck, and I was like, oh no. I think I remember I think it was the Guardian newspaper even printed it, J Garage. I was like, oh my god, like, yeah, maybe I shouldn't have said that, but
Yeah,
it is what it
it's all
is.
in the past. Yeah, but I mean, as soon as the Guardian prints it,
Yeah,
it was cemented in history, I guess.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So if you had changed your name from Submerse when you changed your sound, do you have other names in mind that you would have gone to?
No, I'm not too sure. I've been toying with the idea recently of just starting this kind of like new project, doing like New Jack Swing
Man.
under the name Bobby Crystal, but
That's a pretty fly name.
yeah, man, but I don't know. Yeah, I think probably at the time I had a few different aliases ready, but the thought, I think at that point, because I was just constantly trying to build myself up, the thought of changing my name kind of felt like I could be taking a step back, like I was starting all over again.
Yeah.
So I think that was probably the main reason why I didn't change it.
So you talked a bit about the different mindset that you were in when you made those tracks. Can you expand on that a bit more?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it kind of reflects my kind of age as well. Like when I was kind of younger, I didn't really go out to clubs and that kind of thing so much. I was always staying and just playing video games, hence the kind of like big love for like headphone music. And then I guess once I got older and started like DJing, I was finding myself in like more clubs and being exposed to like all different kinds of music, depending who was on the lineup. So I think there was that time when I was really into like going out and partying till really, really early in the morning and stuff. And I guess the music kind of reflects it.
Yeah. Do you think you'll ever go back to that style?
I don't know. I don't think so. I mean, like, it's kind of fun to listen back to some of the stuff that I did then, but I think now I'm at a place where I can kind of make the stuff that I kind of grew up on in my own kind of way, and I'm kind of comfortable doing that now, even though like some of the newer stuff I've been doing, I've been trying to make, again, a bit more stuff that maybe would work in a club. It's not so fun getting booked to play at 3 a.m. and having an hour of stuff that's like only 80 BPM and like really chill sometimes. But I don't know, like once I've kind of moved on with something, I tend to like leave it in that time and that place.
Yeah, that's cool, man. Your footwork stuff definitely works in the club, as we saw in Batica. Yeah,
Jesus.
yeah. No, it was great, man. It's good to finally hear the tracks properly, like through headphones as well, rather than
Right.
in a club. It works in both situations,
Right.
like headphone listening and club. So it's kind of almost like a meeting halfway of like your previous styles, I suppose.
Yeah.
In a sense.
That's exactly what I was going for in every way, something that works in a club, but that's still kind of just as enjoyable to listen to while you're doing your day-to-day thing.
Yeah. So even if someone didn't know about your love affair with Japan, your track titles show a clear influence from Japanese anime and video games.
Yeah.
So would you say they still influence you now?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it may not reflect it so much in kind of like titles and artwork and things anymore, but it's always been by far one of my biggest influences. Like, I think that was the first proper genre of music I got into was video game music. And through that, I found things like J-pop, and I was ordering a lot of J-pop and video game soundtracks from Amazon.jp and like destroying my parents' credit card when I was really young, like 10 years old. And yeah, I don't know, it's always had a big influence, like hugely. But I think then the influence was like this idea of Japan and not exactly knowing what it was like there, whereas now I finally kind of realized that, and I now live here, so the influence is probably a bit more subtle.
Yeah, I'm going to talk about this more later, but your past work,
Yeah.
a lot of it sources its inspiration from the intrigue and mystery of moving to Japan, doesn't it? Whereas now, this release, it's about living here and finding your place here.
Yeah.
Cool. So I'll get back to that in a bit.
Yeah.
What anime and games did you grow up on?
The first anime I ever watched was an anime called The Guyver, which My dad rented from me from Blockbuster on VHS. I just thought it was a cartoon, a cool looking robot cartoon, and then I watched it and it was ultra violent and I was like, wow, this is amazing. So I think that was the first introduction to like anime, and then from that I found things like Neon Genesis. What else did I find from that? That kind of era of mid 90s sci-fi kind of like anime.
Yeah.
Video game stuff as well. I grew up playing a lot of Japanese role-playing games, so everything from like Xenogears to Final Fantasy to Chrono Trigger.
I was about to say.
All that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Cool, man. They're still an influence on you right now, aren't they? So do you still watch anime and play video games?
I don't watch as much anime as I probably want to. Like now I'm probably down to watching maybe one anime per season. So like I'll watch one thing in the spring, one thing in the summer. It was only up until 2 years ago I was watching a lot more, but I just find myself more and more busy, and it's kind of weird. Like I'd watched so much more anime before I came to Japan, and then once you're in Japan and it's everywhere, it's like I'm not gonna watch it so much anymore.
Yeah.
But that's not like a reflection on my kind of like passion for anime and stuff. Like I still absolutely love it, and I still like going back to watching the stuff that I did watch a few years ago.
If you had to choose a couple of your favorite video game soundtracks, what would they be?
That's difficult.
Yeah, it is.
Man, so I used to work for Game Station. I don't know if you know Game Station.
Yeah, of course.
And all we used to do was listen to soundtracks. So I guess the stuff we put on the most frequently was the Final Fantasy 6 and 7 soundtrack. Chrono Cross, Chrono Trigger soundtrack. Man, my mind's throwing blanks right now.
It was Nobuo. What's his last name? Nobuo, the famous musician. That dude who made all those soundtracks, right? Yeah. Yeah,
it was. I was lucky enough to go and see him in London actually a few years ago. Do the Final Fantasy Distant Worlds Orchestra, which it's crazy.
Yeah. I've never really played a Final Fantasy game apart from like the demo discs on the like PlayStation 2 mag.
Right.
But I got to see the Zelda Orchestra live.
Oh, nice.
That was incredible. Yeah, that was my first time seeing an orchestra, and to have it be something that's so close to you as well. Because like Ocarina of Time is my favorite game, so yeah, it was moving.
Man, I feel you, especially about Ocarina of Time. That kind of era of Nintendo 64 Ocarina of Time was just like, I just remember rushing home from school as soon as the bell rang. The first thing I did before I took my shoes off was load up Ocarina of Time, GoldenEye, Perfect Dark, and Conkers. Like that's all I was doing around that time.
Yeah, I remember I was so close to the end, but I had to go on holiday to Poland because my best friend was from there, so I ended up bringing my N64 and Ocarina of Time so that I could finish it in Poland while on holiday. But yeah, so what happened to the Night Audio label that you used to run with King Thing?
It was a university project. We both did creative music and sound technology at Leeds, Met, and for our final project, we kind of figured that maybe starting a label could be something that would help us in the future. So we were kind of like pushed into it. Not pushed into it, but it was for a project. So we were both living together at the time, and we were just kind of learning. Like the whole process was like just definitely a learning experience. Like we had no idea about publishing, distribution, all that stuff. So I mean, when we look back, it was really good to learn all that stuff. But I think once we kind of finished uni and we kind of went back to our like hometowns or wherever we were going, it got harder and harder to kind of keep up with, and we kind of felt that we got a lot of the experience, but we'd kind of taken it as far as we could, and we both kind of wanted to focus just on doing our own stuff.
Yeah, given that experience of running a label, even though it's a small one, especially with now, like in Japan, there's a lot of young upstart labels like Trekkie Tracks and Mortine and all that. Would you ever do that again?
I mean, I'd love to. There's a lot of stuff I've been finding the past couple of years of, it's when you go onto SoundCloud and you find these dudes with like 10 followers and they've got this amazing music and you feel like this deserves to be heard, but I think you have to sacrifice so much time to do it. So fair play to the dudes, especially like Trekkie Tracks. Like I've got no idea how they can be so productive with themselves and organizing events as well as doing like a label and stuff. Like it kind of blows my mind. Like I'm nowhere near that prolific. I think I have to kind of focus just on one thing at a time, otherwise my brain gets scrambled. So I mean, I'd love to do it. Maybe it's something I'll do in the future when I take a step back from playing so many shows, and once I'm kind of happy, maybe just doing a release a year and not constantly trying to get through remixes and DJ mixes and all that stuff. But maybe.
Yeah. Cool. Trekkie Tracks is just a handful of guys. It's amazing what they do. So maybe it just takes the right people to meet in that, I don't know, that vacuum to be able to create such a thing. So with your latest release, Stay Home, you've dabbled in footwork, which is a first for your music. We talked about this a bit in Tokyo when we met, but how did the idea of producing footwork come to you?
I mean, there's a couple dudes who, I mean, I always knew about footwork, but I never had like a great knowledge of it. I obviously knew like Tech Life and all that kind of usual stuff, and I was really into it, but there was just, I really look for stuff with like a little bit of an emotive edge and stuff that I could listen to at home rather than just in a club, because some of that stuff just in a club is just unreal. But when I get home and I listen to it, I'm like, I feel like I should be in a club right now. So there was a couple of dudes, one of them being Cake Dog. I don't know if you know this dude. He makes kind of like beats and ambient stuff under the name Anu. I don't even know if I'm pronouncing that right. It's like,
I think it's right. It's Anu.
Yeah, and like, when I heard his stuff and it was kind of that R&B-esque kind of like juke stuff, I was like, wow, this is pretty good. This is right up my street. So I started playing a couple of his tracks out when I was DJing, and I was like, wow, I've got to make me some of this so I can kind of fill out more time of this kind of stuff. And that was pretty much it, really. I mean, I actually made a juke track with Resketch about 3-4 years ago just to try it out, and it was kind of fun at the time, but I didn't really know anything. We didn't know what we were really doing, so we just kind of thought, okay, it was a one-off thing. So yeah, that was pretty much how I started doing it. And once I'd made one track, I was like, okay, this is kind of fun. I'm not really getting like writer's block. Writer's block is something that like I constantly tend to struggle with. But when I try something new, like it doesn't really happen, because I've got so many ideas for this one thing. I'm not kind of like redoing it. So I done one, and then the second one came out, and then the third one, and then I did a fourth one, and now a fifth and sixth one. So, and that was pretty much it, really. And obviously, like I said before, the idea of having some stuff ready to play in a club that was a bit more dance friendly or club friendly, but still had a kind of like groove and a kind of like R&B-esque feel to it definitely appealed to me.
Yeah, I knew Anu from his Anu stuff, of course, but I only learned about Cake Dog when he and Knowledge under the name of Gato dropped that, I can't remember what it's called, but that project is amazing.
That project's insane, absolutely crazy.
Yeah, the same way you're talking about hearing like R&B influenced footwork, and just to hear like those kind of samples that like Knowledge would use. That kind of groove just blew me away. So it's strange thinking about it now, because I hear the parallels between Stay Home and that project. Right. But I never would have put the link between them without that.
Knowledge and Mind Design were out in Tokyo for Stones Throw.
I wish I could have come, man. I was so gutted I couldn't make it.
Man, I was lucky enough to play the same show, and then after that, Knowledge's roommate at the moment, Mike Soups, was sticking around in Tokyo for a bit, so we hung out for a while, and I think we went out for a few drinks, and he was like, did you know Knowledge has started to dabble in this footwork stuff? And I was like, no, please, if you got any, show me. He was like, I'll show you. And he played me some stuff, and I was just like, wow, this is crazy, because I'm a pretty huge Knowledge fan. And
likewise.
The fact that he was doing some stuff that I felt you could play quite late and would be quite like driving in a club was pretty special. So I was like, man, I think this is a sign. Like I'm gonna try and pursue a bit of this myself.
Yeah, I'm glad you did. The project is amazing. So, what's the name of the Submerse and Resketch song? Is it from the Distance EP?
No, the Duke track?
Yeah.
It was never released. It was called Good Days. I actually found it when I went home. I was back in the UK last week. I went back to visit my parents and saw my visa out, and I found an old hard drive with the track on it.
Amazing.
I'm just gonna have a quick look because I'm feeling that I might have brought it with me, or it might be on a hard drive. If I do, I'll send it to you. It's kind of funny to listen to. But yeah, it was a track called Good Days.
Yeah. Will that ever see the light of day?
I don't know. I'm kind of tempted to message Resketch and be like, you'll never guess what I've just found. Like, maybe we should do something with it. Maybe we should give it away. I mean, it's been a while since we've made music together. It could be a kind of nice thing to, I don't know, give something for free download that we did 3 years ago. And
yeah. Were there any challenges in adapting to footwork, or was it smooth sailing from the off?
I just kind of took these tracks, these hip hop tracks that I've been working on, these beat stuff at 80 BPM, took out the drums, and then just tried program my own footwork drums and put the BPM up to 160, which is just double what I make the beat stuff at. So the first couple ones came out pretty quick because I tried to do them in my usual style. So there wasn't, apart from using more things like 808s and maybe quantizing a little bit more than I'm used to, it just kind of came out naturally. But I think not having too many like footwork influences, being kind of naive, is maybe a good thing, because hopefully it kind of makes my stuff sound a bit different than just being able to hear it and being like, this is a footwork track, I'm not sure who this is by or anything like that. So I mean, it came out kind of easy, but even when it did, I wasn't sure because I've no like authority on footwork. So I was like, I've done this is where it's supposed to be, I'll see what people think.
Yeah, and I think because of that naivety, it makes the songs more rooted in the sound that you came from.
Right.
As far as like your last releases. So it feels like a submerse song almost before a footwork song.
Right.
Which is kind of perfect. So yeah, your earlier projects found inspiration in nostalgia and from the exploration of life in a new location. Yeah. Stay Home, going off the title alone, seems to represent you finding your place here. Can you tell me about what the album means to you and how it fits in your body of work compared to those past releases?
Yeah, I think those past releases were kind of like, nostalgia was definitely a big thing. I think before I came to Japan, it was all about influenced by Japan. What's Japan like? What's it going to be like? How am I going to get there? When I first got here, it was kind of like, okay, I'm here now. Everything's a bit kind of alien. I'm getting used to everything. And the album was done when I went back to London for 9 months. So once I was in London, rather than kind of looking towards Japan, I was looking more in kind of like nostalgia. So when I was younger, when I was really younger, and kind of the experiences that I had for a few years of traveling for the first time, because it's kind of crazy. I never really think about it, but you know, I was getting booked to play in places like Russia and Poland, and I had no idea that one day I would ever go to those countries. I don't know anybody there, like I don't know anything about it, and I was just kind of thrown into these like weird situations. So the kind of traveling aspect was definitely a big influence on that. Whereas kind of now I feel that, you know, I'm back in Japan, I kind of know a little bit what's going on, I think, maybe. And I kind of feel comfortable now. And I could tell that by when I returned home. You know, there's a lot of people who I knew have kind of moved on, they're doing their thing now, and it didn't really feel like it was home so much anymore. I didn't really have that like local group of friends, and here I feel like I've built that up now. So I guess that's where the title and those things came from, was kind of feeling comfortable now in this country that I've been trying to get to all my life.
Yeah. Do you live here permanently, or are you splitting your time between here and the UK?
I've been kind of back and forth the past few years, but now it's more of a permanent thing, definitely for the foreseeable future. The next couple of years. I mean, I've got my visa now, so
congrats, man.
Thanks, man. I'm really, really happy.
So what is that, an extension from 3 to 5 years?
Yeah. I think it'll be like 1 to 3 and then 3 to 5.
Okay, yeah, because you moved here originally in 2012, didn't you?
Yeah, I got a working holiday visa. It was the first visa I got. So yeah, I did that. Came for a year. I went to where was it? Korea and places for a bit, and then came back as a tourist, and then I was here for 6 months, and then back to London for just under a year, and then back out here for another 7-8 months, and then back home for a month, 2 months, and then back here.
Amazing that you've kept your head together all this time, man.
Do you know what? I can't believe the one thing I've not done this whole time is thought about collecting air miles. Like, I've been rolling in air miles right now, and I've not done it, so I'm kind of good.
Wait, so you can still cash in on them, right? Or
I don't know. Like, I've never done them before. Like, I hope so. I've travelled so much the past few years. I feel like I've lost out on a small fortune of air miles.
A casual trip to anywhere, really.
Yeah, exactly.
Could await you. Yeah, how did your connection to Japan begin? I think you've touched on it.
I think it was like I said, watching the first kind of bits of anime kind of got me into it. In fact, I'm pretty sure the first time I watched stuff like anime stuff, I had no idea. I was like, where is this? Where is this made? Like, what is this? And after a while, I figured out, okay, this is all like Japanese. It's all set in Japan. And from the anime came finding like music and then video games. And I think once I started to get more into video games and where they were made, and you find out that everything comes from Japan. I was like, everything I like is coming from this one particular country. Like, what's so special about this place? And then once I got the internet in my bedroom, that was kind of it. And it was like, I can do as much research, watching, downloading as I want. And everything seemed to just link to Japan. And my interest just grew bigger and bigger.
Awesome. So, as the first release following your debut album, a string of EPs, what lessons did you take from creating Slow Waves and the others in the approach of making Stay Home?
I think the first few string of Mooncircle EPs was just kind of like, okay, I found, after the Apollo release, it was kind of like, right, I found my kind of feet now with going back to this kind of hip-hoppy influenced beatsy stuff and the more chill stuff, and each one was just kind of experimenting with slightly different styles of that. So I think as the releases got on, it went a little bit more hip-hoppy and then a bit more electronic-y. And once I got to Slow Waves, I was kind of like, right, I want to do an album now, but I don't want it to sound like there's any singles on it. I don't want any singles. I want it to be like from start to finish, just one whole kind of like headphone music project, because I kind of figured for an album, I want it to be something that people can just listen to at home or traveling or something. It doesn't have to be in a club. I didn't really want anything much for a club. And once I was kind of happy with that, and that was done for Stay Home, I was like, right, I want to do something totally different in the album now. I kind of feel like I've done that nostalgic kind of like wishy-washy like headphone stuff, and maybe I should try and, like I said, do something a bit more clubby and stuff that's even more R&B influenced. I don't know, like, it just takes me back to watching The Box and MTV Base when I was a kid and got in from school, watching those. Like,
those are the days.
Yeah, man, I love those days, and I don't know why they've crept back into my brain recently, but
yeah, where watching Trevor Nelson. What was his show called? He had a show on bass, but I can't remember.
Yeah, I can't remember what it was called.
Those are the days, man.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. You've released most of your recent endeavours through Berlin-based label Project Mooncircle. How did you get involved with them?
A few years ago, in fact, was it first time I came back to Europe from the very first time I came to Japan, I had a string of shows set up, and I got booked to play a show with a girl called Gina, who was an ex-member of Mooncircle. I think she was kind of pushing my stuff a bit, and I've known about Mooncircle for a long time. I knew about them from their kind of like on-release and the MF Doom stuff and the Robot Koch stuff. I was a big fan, and I actually found that their other label, Finest Ego, had done a Japanese beatmaker compilation, so I was super into that at the time as well. And we met and played the show together, and one of the guys, Malta from Project Mooncircle, came down to the show, and she played my stuff to him and Gordon So they did an interview with me for Finest Ego, and they gave me a few tapes and a few releases. And I think as soon as I got home, I sent them some releases, and then a few weeks passed, a month passed, and Gordon got in touch and was like, well, how about if we do an EP? And at the time, I didn't really have like a stable kind of like place that I was putting releases out. I was just kind of trying to find a place where I was comfortable. And I think it was going to start as like maybe a cassette-only Finest Ego release. And I was like, yeah, okay, that's cool. And then they got in touch and like, okay, we'll do it. We'll do it on Moon Circle, we'll do it on vinyl. And I was like, wow, okay, cool. It's crazy. And then everything just went so smooth and so well with them. And they work really hard. And as soon as it came out, it did well. I was really stoked. And that was it. From there, I was like, right, I think I'm pretty comfortable here.
Yeah, they seem like one of the most dedicated
definitely
that I've seen out there. One that really sticks to its roots and is really about the music as opposed to the egos or the personalities. It's just about good music and getting that out there in every form that people want it in.
Yeah, definitely.
So, what was your first vinyl release?
My first ever vinyl release was, I think it was Hold It Down with Well Rounded.
Cool, I need to look that up.
I think that was in 2010, maybe.
So that would have been J Garage era something.
That was just straight garage. It was straight garage with the Brighton label, Well Rounded. I don't think they're going anymore. It was a 7-inch. I think that was the first ever vinyl I put out.
Cool.
Man, I was so excited for the first ever vinyl. It was crazy. Buying records from such like a young age. I never thought something that I would have made would be on like, I'd be able to like pick it up
and be able to like feel like your music embedded in the grooves and stuff.
Yeah,
incredible.
Yeah, but even now, like when I get like a new release through, I'm like, wow, it's like it's in my like hands. It's crazy. I made this.
It's got to be especially crazy because like I guess back in the day, people recorded stuff and then it was put onto vinyl. Yeah. A lot of production now is obviously mostly digital. So to have something that you've made beyond a screen almost in your physical hand must be a really awesome feeling. And I remember seeing Project Moon Circle uploading a video of I think the Stay Home vinyls being made.
Yeah.
And it seemed really interesting.
Yeah, it's crazy the whole process. And I think as with each release as well, I get more and more into different parts. So with the album and this Stay Home release, my good friend Repeat Pattern did the artwork, and I really kind of got into the whole process of being like, right, we want to do the artwork. What kind of theme do we want? And then I'd speak to Gordon at Moon Circle and be like, we're going to do it on this coloured vinyl, and then this is what it's going to look like, and this is going to be like the logo. And when you kind of put all this effort into not just the making the music and the mastering, to this like the aesthetics as well, and then when you finally get it, it's like a whole project of work, and you can just see it all kind of come together, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah, and the process sounds really cohesive because I mean you've got Gordon, like you said, and Repeat Pattern.
Yeah.
I didn't realise that Yuki Beb was the model for Slow Waves.
Yeah, she is. Yeah.
I think I was just on Bandcamp looking at it in my collection, and then realised I was like, oh, it's Yuki.
Yeah,
that's Yuki. I never think about like who that is.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's one of the coolest parts about it. I mean, becoming like good friends with the people at Moon Circle now, it's like making music yourself being released by your friends with the artwork taken by your friend with a picture of another friend, and it kind of makes it extra personal, I guess.
Yeah. So speaking of Repeat Pattern, he's a photographer and producer, and he's done quite a bit of the artwork for at least your recent stuff. So how did you two link up?
We met through SoundCloud, I think, when I first moved to Japan. We had the same show at 2.5D in Tokyo.
Awesome.
And I think we had that kind of automatic connection because we were both foreigners living in Japan, and we both made the same, well, kind of similar-ish music. Granted, his is a lot more hazy than mine. But yeah, I really loved his stuff, and he was a super friendly dude. So I met him at this show, we became friends, and then we met later at a Cosmopolyphonic show. And then we stayed in touch, ended up hanging out. We had more mutual friends, and from that we swapped music, and he showed me his photography and stuff, and I love his photography. Like, he's just getting stronger and stronger. It's crazy. Like, he's incredible. And it just felt kind of natural that I'm kind of really into this hazy photography style stuff anyway, and he's so good at it that it's kind of a given. Like, there's nobody else I'd rather do the artwork than him.
Yeah, I can't remember how, but I ended up, I think, on his Flickr page a couple of weeks ago, and I was just there for like an hour or so, just going through the photos.
Right.
They're just so captivating.
Yeah, he's definitely got style.
And his music's great too. So.
Oh yeah, for sure, definitely.
Yeah. So as you mentioned, you're part of the Cosmo Polyphonic crew.
Yeah.
Can you tell me about them?
This is a more recent thing. I pretty much discovered them when I first moved to Japan, but they are basically a Tokyo-based collective of producers and DJs who have been organizing events. They've released a compilation, and just a good group of friends, really. They were kind of really predominant in the early kind of like beat scene. So yeah, I was a huge fan of pretty much every member. Every member seemed to have their own kind of style, and I kind of quickly became friends with quite a few of them. And then I think it was less than a year ago now, when I was last in Japan, I was like, I want to join, because I was Cheshire in England, so the only other person I knew who made music was Resketch. And I've always liked this idea of being in a collective, because I think it kind of gives you a lot of drive. If you see someone else being pretty productive and getting stuff done, you're like, I need to fix up. I need to get in the studio. And I just, like most people into music do, they just love to talk about music all the time. So it's super nice to have kind of a group of friends that you can meet up with, talk about music, and play shows together, especially when we get booked as a collective. Like I love being able to travel with like friends and do shows, and I'm kind of shy, I guess, in general, and I think like when I travel to play a show, I'm always a bit kind of like nervous and by myself, and I'm like meeting promoters for the first time. So having like a group of people that you can go around with is just, I don't know, it's like lads on tour. It's like some strange
lads on tour.
Yeah, man. Like
yeah.
Some Benidorm, like lads on tour stuff.
Yeah, it's cool as well, because even if, for example, you're at a show and you don't know anybody, chances are you'll meet other people that you haven't met for the first time who are in Cosmo Polyphonic.
Right.
You're able to like approach you, and then you just like have an instant click or like crew. Whatever.
Yeah. I mean, like their group on Facebook's become like a strong.
It's like 1,000 members now. I think I'm in there as well. Yeah.
It's crazy. Like, I mean, yeah. When I was in Berlin, like all those dudes, the Moon Cycle guys, I think they've been following, like Source 81, RLP. They've been following those cats for a while. So yeah, it's super nice when people are in that group and they know about Cosmo Polyphonic.
Awesome. Yeah, so your knowledge of Japanese music seems to be quite incredible, as evidenced by your All Japan mix with Kid Knievel.
Right.
I was going to ask you for 5, but I think that might be hard. So can you just name the top Japanese artists that have been most influential to you, and why?
Damn. Okay. I think, the Cosmo Polyphonic guys have been really influential as far as like music I'm making now, and kind of like that kind of current beatsy, kind of like hip-hoppy, trappy R&B, whatever you want to call it stuff. So people like RLP, Source 81, Fujimoto Tetsuro, Wrigley-chan, like all those dudes. I mean, who else has been pretty...
Daisuke Tanabe?
Yeah, Daisuke, like Tanabe, like...
Just a guess.
Yeah, sure. Yoshi Horikawa, all those dudes. I think you can probably guess just by that mix the kind of like dudes I'm feeling, like Buttermonk, Mabanua, Aru 2. Man, that list kind of goes on for forever, but apart from that, I am a big fan of Perfume. huge fan of Perfume.
Yeah.
So I guess like some like J-pop stuff was definitely maybe more influential a few years back than it is now, but dude, it's probably even easier if I just open a folder of Japanese music that I've got on my desktop right here.
We should see it. So, I'll Perfume your go-to when it comes to a karaoke time.
My go-to is usually Utadaikaru for karaoke time.
Okay, which song? Which song is not, I guess?
Pretty much everything.
Yeah.
But I think the only one that I can sing with all the words right is probably Boku Akuma. I don't know if you know that one. It's the one. It sounds like a nursery rhyme.
What's it called? Boku.
I think
Akuma.
Yeah, Boku Akuma. It's just I am.
Boku Akuma. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the the lyrics are Boku Akuma Kuruma Janayo. I think that's pretty much it. I'm a bear, not a car. I think
totally put
that shoots me down to the ground.
In the right up.
Yeah, when I was younger, I got into Dragon Ash. I don't know if you know what Dragon Ash.
No, never heard of them.
They were like a rock rap kind of group. They did the ending theme song to Battle Royale, which was another really big influence because that's one of my favorite films of all time.
I was actually planning on watching that tonight because
cool.
I was thinking about films to watch. So you recommend it?
Oh man, it's in my top 3 favorite films of all time. Definitely, I love it.
Actually, yeah, thinking back, I remember in secondary school when everyone had seen it that one day, and everyone was like, "Yo, did you see Battle Royale in like Film 4 yesterday?" And I was like, "No." And everyone was just like reeling about how awesome this film is, and like Takeshi Kitano and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So,
man, that film kept me awake at night the first time I saw it. Like, just the thought of it and the idea just freaked me out, and I loved it. I went and bought it, and I watched it a ton of times, and I was like, wow, Japan is crazy.
It is crazy. Someone told me Hunger Games is similar to Battle Royale, but again, I've never seen Hunger Games, so I have no idea.
Man, I thought that, and then I thought it was pretty much an exact copy, but I don't know, the author says they'd never seen Battle Royale. I don't know. I'm not a big fan of Hunger Games.
Yeah.
Dude, Battle Royale is like, it's twisted.
I'll watch it tonight. I think there was a sequel as well, actually, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, there was Battle Royale too.
Okay, was that any good?
The
reviews aren't favourable.
No, I just stick to the first one. You can't go wrong.
Okay, cool. So, you've kind of talked about it before, but do you feel like the move here has had an effect on your music?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I guess it's just the change of day-to-day life has like a big effect. Living in the city and just the general things that you like hear on like a day-to-day life. I mean, as you know, like you can walk around Shibuya and hear like 101 jingles, and then come home and you put the TV on and then there's more jingles, and you go into the electronics store and there's more jingles. So you constantly have these like melodies stuck in my head, and I'm singing it. I'm like, I don't even know what this is from. I'm singing in some like insurance company's like phone number in Japanese. I'm like, what the hell is this? So I mean, like, I reckon that all just sits at the back of my head, and then when I come to make stuff, it kind of sticks out.
It'd be amazing if somehow one day we just found out like one of your tracks was almost identical to like, I don't know, like the local supermarket jingle. I didn't realize subconsciously, because like one of my favorite songs out here is my local supermarket has a good jingle, Don Paku, but I don't think they're in Tokyo. And the karaoke place that we go to called Maneki Neko. Their jingle is awesome. It's like, I wish we could sing it in karaoke. I need to see if they have it actually. Right. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, man, I love them, man. They're so catchy. Even train stations. I can't believe like stations in Tokyo have got their own jingle. It's crazy.
Yeah, and they play like the randomest songs sometimes.
Yeah.
Like, my local station, because obviously I live in like the Inaka or the countryside for people who don't know what that is.
Right.
But yeah, they play. What have they played? They played Oasis Wonderwall.
Okay.
As a train jingle.
That's kind of crazy.
It's really, really random.
Dude, I love it how you can go into like a supermarket in Japan and they might be playing like NWA Fuck the Police at like 2 PM, but because it's in English, like there's no thing where like, oh, you can't play this, it's got swearing in it and stuff. And it's like in Tower Records, you go in and they're just playing like this, like I think I remember going in once, it was like 1 PM and there was loads of like young kids in there and they're playing Tyler the Creator and it's like the most raw lyrics ever and it's like, wow, you can only get away with this in Japan. It's hilarious.
And everyone's just walking around so casually, there's mums with their babies. Just
yeah, it's funny, man.
I remember going into my local mall and Black Skinhead had just come out.
Right.
And to hear that over the like tannoy, while shoppers are just walking around casually on like a Sunday afternoon, it's one of the most surreal things I've ever seen in my life. I was actually going to ask you, what would you say are the biggest differences between living here and living in England? I guess you kind of said some already.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, everything that I said, everything's totally different.
Yeah.
I think it's harder to think of things that are the same.
Very true.
Yeah. I mean, as far as club music and stuff goes, like, there's definitely a big difference, I feel, between kind of like London and Tokyo. I feel that everybody here is really accepting, really like open, and I feel like I get booked for a lot of shows with tons of different kinds of music, and people are really open to hear it. There's not such a let's get really messed up and party until 12 the next day kind of mentality. Everything feels kind of safe. It sounds really negative towards the UK. I'm not being negative.
No, it's just a different night out, really, isn't it? But
yeah.
One thing I find a bit odd, or not odd, but interesting about Japanese clubs is often if there's a DJ at the event, you face the DJ.
Right.
Whereas back home in England, you're just like doing your own thing and partying and chilling.
Yeah.
Here, you face the DJ and dance, which I find quite interesting. I don't know why. Maybe it's a respect thing, like everything else. But.
Yeah, I feel like that. I feel like everyone's treated as like an artist, kind of like you're performing right now. We'll give you our attention.
Yeah,
whereas
very true.
Anywhere in Europe, you're like, just turn around, shout, and doing your own thing. And
yeah. One thing my friend said, I think I've got it right. He said every subculture that we have in the West is like a culture in Japan. So you can find like the hip hop area or.
Yeah,
and when I heard that, I was like, yeah, that fits Japan perfectly, because the things that we think of that are like so minuscule to us. There's like a scene for that here. Whatever it is, there's a scene for that here. Themed restaurants, there's a scene for that here. You want to go to the lockup and like pretend you've been arrested and stuff? That's in Tokyo. Have you been?
Dude, I've been. Usually when Taku comes to Tokyo. That's usually our spot. We go to the lockup and wait for the people to run around with masks on and drink Spiritas, and yeah, man, I love it. But dude, I can't agree more about there's a scene for everything here. I don't know if you know, but I'm from just outside Liverpool, from a place called Cheshire, and maybe not so much now, but in the past 10 years, there's been the dominant thing in Liverpool has been the type of music called Scouse House or Donk.
Or Donk, did you say?
Yeah, it's called Donk, yeah.
D-O-N-K.
Look.
That makes me think of Badonkadonk.
Yeah. There was one semi-famous-ish song, and it was by the Blackout Crew, and it was called Put a Donk on It.
I think I've been looking for that song. How old is it? It's like maybe 10 years.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. It's a bunch of lads, isn't it? Oh my gosh.
Yeah, just like really chavvy dudes. Like,
yeah. Like, what was the name of that Welsh group that were really chavvy?
Goldie Looking Chain.
Yeah, but Gold Looking Chain are good.
Yeah, they're amazing.
Yeah, but like, I was looking for this song because I'd seen it on Channel U.
Okay.
I don't know how many years ago, but I couldn't find it. And I searched Blackout, but I just couldn't find it.
Dude, Blackout Crew. So they're basically just these kids that go to this like youth center. Yeah. And they recorded this song and they're like the Scouse House MCs.
Yeah.
But I mean, for the longest time in like Liverpool, it was like the music, like the scene. Like there was like record shops that only sold it, and when you're in the street and a car drives past, you can just hear like dunk dunk dunk. It's hilarious, man.
Yeah.
It's so funny, but it kind of like died out and it fizzled away. But it was definitely just a northwest England thing.
Yeah.
I got to Japan and I found a flyer, and it was it was for Tokyo's premiere Liverpool Scouts Donk Night. And at first, I couldn't believe it. I was like, this has got to be some crazy dude from Liverpool who's moved out to Japan. And it wasn't. Like, there was a scene out here for Liverpool Donk Scouse House.
Yeah.
And a regular event in Tokyo. I think it was, I can't remember what the event in Tokyo was called.
I hope it was fitting.
It was like Bounce Scouse or something hilarious, man. But I mean, that for me was just the most surreal thing ever. I was like, that just shows how diverse and how Tokyo and Japan really does have a scene for everything you can imagine.
Yeah. That video is hilarious because they all look like the kind of guys you don't want to mess with or crossing the street, but they're all just rapping about the most random thing.
Yeah, man. It's hilarious.
Yeah. So, what's been your biggest career highlight so far?
I think, I don't know, everything as a whole. I mean, I never thought I'd get to fly to places like New York to play shows and Toronto and all those different places and stuff. So everything as far as traveling wise has been a huge highlight. Playing the Boiler Room was massive highlight. Playing at Sonar Sound was crazy. I don't know, there's too many. I mean, I remember when I started out, everything was the biggest highlight, and now I'm just kind of like, I'm super grateful, and everything I do, I guess, is a big highlight, even from like the littlest radio play to like peak time on the BBC. For me, it's like just a big highlight. Yeah,
awesome, man. So what artists are you listening to at the moment?
Damn, right now. Okay, I'm gonna open my iPod. I think that's the easiest thing to do. Currently, Joey Badass's album I'm listening to quite a bit.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Yeah, New Honra I really like. New Earl Sweatshirt. Yeah, quite a few. Let's have a quick look at this iTunes. Ben Frost, I'm a really big fan of Ben Frost. He's really like droney ambient stuff. It's super great. Flatbush Zombies, probably my favorite hip hop group at the moment. Silk Roads, the Stones Throw stuff, I love it. Tuxedo, the Mayor Hawthorne and Jake One, is it?
Yeah, Jake One.
Yeah, man, love that album, man. It's so like summery as well.
Were you around when they played in Tokyo? Cause
I
missed it and really wanted to go.
Man, I wasn't here, but yeah, I really wish I would have been around for it.
Yeah, cool, man. Is there anyone that you feel like, oh, that person's got next? Like future wise.
There's a couple dudes who I think should be huge if they're not already. One of them is a dude from the US called Grey Hat. Grey Hat. Yeah, man, I love all this stuff at the moment. He's real dope. I reckon soon he's gonna be breaking through. Also a dude called Froyoma, which is like, I don't know if you know this dude. Yeah.
He does artwork for other people as well.
Yeah,
his tracks are really crazy.
Yeah, he last week he sent me some brand new stuff he's been working on, and he's gone to like, you can see him going to that like next level already. Like everything from, he sent me some stuff that was like beatless stuff, which is just crazy good. Yeah, man, his artwork's too dope too.
Yeah, I love his art style. Cool, man. So following Stay Home, what are your plans for the next 12 months?
I'm currently working on a beat tape. I'm just doing loops and stuff at the moment. I feel that after, I mean, I'm doing some more Juke stuff as well, but I really want to do just a project of 1 minute kind of like sketches, drafts and ideas, and I'm going to put that out somewhere, maybe on a friend's label or something, and do a beat tape, and then work probably on my next Moon Circle release after that. But yeah, I feel like a break now, just doing kind of like some weird kind of like New Jacky 80s inspired loops. It's going to be kind of fun just to break it up from the usual stuff. So yeah, working on a beat tape, playing a ton of shows, and then working on my next Moon Circle thing.
Cool, man. So the Bobby Crystal project is that beat tape? Or
I don't know yet.
You don't know yet. Okay.
No, it's still too early to kind of figure out.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know.
Awesome. Sounds good. Thanks for the interview, man. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you, man.
Take it easy, dude.
You too, man. Peace.